Welcome to another episode of Amputee Outdoors. I'm your host, Glenn, and today we're going up the Iron Goat Trail, the upper trail, for the second time this year. So I'm not going to film too much of that, because what I'm aiming to do is get out to Wellington, where back in the late 1800s, I guess it was. I'll double check the dates as I go along. There was an avalanche, like 80, 90 people got buried in a train or in the town. And so I'm going to try and get out there, pay my respects to the deceased, and I'll film most of that trail, not so much the Iron Goat Trail. Okay. Also, I'm going to be testing out my DIY day pack external frame using PVC and an old IKEA bag. We'll do some field testing of that and see how that goes as well. Oops. Sorry about that. So with that, I'll get started, and I'll talk to you again with further along the trail. All right, see you along there. All right, so I'm just working my way down the trail here, and thought I'd mention a bit about my pack. I was worried that the PVC pipes would be bashing against my shoulders or my back, but even when I've cinched them up, I hardly even notice them. Pull the weights on my hips really nicely. Feels very comfortable. In fact, it hardly even feels like I'm wearing a backpack at all. That's because I don't know if you can see it, but the straps aren't actually pulling down on my shoulder. They're actually pulling straight down to the hip. So I'm pretty happy about that. At the end of this trail, well, I'll tell you what. Actually, at the end of this trail, getting back to the house, back to the car, I'll do a stress test like I did with the Coleman. You guys seen that video? So what I did, I took the Coleman external frame backpack and dropped it from different angles. I'll do the same with this PVC one. And yes, I have a roll of duct tape with me, just in case. So I'll do that at the end of this trail when I'm getting back towards the car. If I do break it, I want to break it when I'm almost back to the trailhead, not halfway along. All right, I'll talk to you later. Hi, well, left the trailhead about 3 miles ago. Been making pretty good time. My backpack is feeling really comfortable, actually. I cinched it up a little bit more because I couldn't feel anything against my shoulders. I was wondering maybe it's coming loose, but it wasn't, so I cinched it up some more, and it still feels really comfortable. Yeah, it's a DIY job, PVC and IKEA blue bag, but it works really well. So right now I'm at Windy Point Viewpoint. Looking down this way, there's the new train. Well, new, it was built like in 1929, so new then. But it's the one that's used these days, and it's still in use. And apparently it's one of the longest tunnels used for railroad in Western Hemisphere. So that's kind of impressive. Behind me here, going down that way, is more of the upper grade. The train tracks that were abandoned when this one down below was built. I'm going to continue down here, down to Wellington, get some lunch there and probably head back. I'm going to film a few spots along the way just for you guys so you can see what it looks like, and perhaps inspire you to get out on the trails, out in the woods, go for a walk in the woods, go for a hike in the woods, bring along some friends, make a day of it, have a lunch out in the woods. It's a lot of fun, it's relaxing, it's enjoyable, and it's good for body and mind as well. All right, so I'm gonna cut this off right now and head on down the trail and talk to you in a little while. All right. This is the Windy Point Tunnel behind me here. This is about a quarter-mile long tunnel, apparently. It's closed off. Rock slides and such. And apparently it was built so they could get trains through quicker and easier, two at a time, one on each side. But I'm going to pan this around now so you can see how much Mother Nature has taken over since 1929 when this tunnel was closed. Right there is where trains used to run. All the way along there. Kind of cool, huh? All right, let's get further along the trail. All right, so I'm not going to film myself this time. I'm going to film the path in front of me. Now, I want you to imagine you're out here in the woods with a family member or friends, and you're just walking through the woods. And this is what it's like. Oh, that clanking noise you occasionally hear is my anti-cougar warning device thingy. It's my tripod banging against my prosthetic leg. Wouldn't you just love to be out here walking through the woods? For us amputees, sometimes it can seem like, oh, hiking? Are you kidding? That's not happening. I'm an amputee. It can happen. Some good advice and help from your doctor, your prosthesist. Work your way up. Some support and help from your family, your friends. You could be walking along this path through the woods. Just because we're missing a part doesn't mean we need to miss out. It's an interesting tree. Look at that. Okay, so in 1929, the snow shed, or one very, very similar to the one in this photograph, was right there. And it was abandoned in place. The timbers weren't salvageable, so they just left it in place, and then it just decayed over time. And this is what it looks like now. Eventually they'll all be just forest again. Hey! So, just working my way down the path. And I gotta tell you, the Iron Goat Trail, the lower grade and the upper grade, probably one of the easiest trails you could possibly do. Getting up to the upper grade, there's a switchback on one end, and the other end is just kind of like this slow curve up the hill to get to it. Takes a little bit of effort, can wind you if you're not in good shape, but very doable even if you're not in the best of shape. Still, you know, check with your doctor, make sure that, hey, you know, going up 2 flights of stairs doesn't give you a heart attack, okay? But once you're up here on this upper grade trail, it is remarkably easy. There's a couple parts where it's kind of rocky that you have to walk over rocks, but even those, they're almost like steps more than anything else. They're very, very easy, really. And this trail, as you can see behind me, I mean, it used to be a railroad track. It's almost completely flat. And it's an easy, easy walk, and it's a lot of fun. The only downside to this Iron Goat Trail that I'm not completely happy with is the fact that I can hear Highway 2 down there. And occasionally I can hear a train going through. The train, I don't mind so much because it kind of reminds me that, yeah, all this used to be a train track. There used to be a train track down there too. And it's been moved down the hill, and that train down there is the legacy of where I'm walking now. So that I don't mind so much. Anyway, I'm going to get further along the trail, and I'll talk to you a little bit further along, okay? Alrighty. Made it down to one of the concrete snow sheds that they built back in the early part of the 20th century. They'd caused so many forest fires and cut so many trees from the hillside and mountainside that every winter they'd get about 15 feet of snow, and it all comes sliding on down the hill, of course, because there's no trees to hold it in place, covering the tracks. So they built these snow sheds instead to protect them. So they could get through here with the trains, and the snow would just build over the top and then just slide off on the other side. And this has been abandoned now since I think the sign back there said 1929, thereabouts. You can see behind me some of the concrete that's fallen down and the steel rebar that's still holding it suspended there. So I'm going to turn this camera around and show you the rest of the tunnel, okay? All right, just bear with me for a minute here. So the rest of the hike goes along this tunnel. It's a little airy, but the sound is good. Anyway, I'm going to get along this trail and see what I find. Talk to you in a while. Well, I've just gone through the off-mile tunnel where the avalanche actually occurred, March 1st, 1910. The passengers were stopped back there. That concrete tunnel doesn't exist at the time. There'd never been an avalanche there. And the train conductor said, hey, you know what, we're going to wait here. We're not going to go back into the tunnel out of the snow because the coal fumes will suffocate everybody. There we go. Anyway, so they thought, okay, well, you know what we'll do? We've been here several days now. Tomorrow morning, we're going to hike down the hill and try to get down to a nearby town because we're stuck. Well, that night, lightning struck the hillside, causing an avalanche. Snow, trees, rocks, whatever debris was up on top of that mountain came rushing down and hit the train. 96 people died. They were sent down the river, down the hill to the river Ty down there. And people were brought in from Seattle and Everett and all over to try and dig them out and rescue as best they could. But of course, middle of winter, it's too late. So 96 people lost their lives. After that, they decided, well, let's build a great big huge shed, this great big huge concrete shed. So they did, and trains ran through it. And eventually they decided, you know what, let's build a train trek down the bottom of the hill and get the trees to grow back up on top of the hill to prevent avalanches, which is what they did. So I guess that's good. But the fact that, they thought, oh, hey, can't have an avalanche. Never been an avalanche here. Let's not worry about it. Same thing like riding your car. Hey, won't bother with my seatbelt. Riding a motorbike. Hey, don't need a helmet. Never been in an accident. Well, no. But you only need that one accident, don't you? That's what happened to me. So I lost my leg. So when you can take precautions, take them. When you're out hiking, you take precautions. You bring along 10 essentials. Those things that, hey, I've never had anything bad happen to me when I'm hiking or camping or backpacking, but I only need it to happen once for something that I'm going to regret later. Okay? Always think about where you're going. Let people know where you're going. Pack appropriately. Have a plan of, hey, if it doesn't work out, I'll turn around at this point. Don't assume that you're going to be safe all the time. Bring along a couple of things just in case. 10 essentials, some extra food, some extra water. You never know. Okay? All right. Kind of sad what happened here. I'm going to go on a little bit further to the actual town of Wellington. It's just around the bend here. And then I'll head back. All right. Talk to you in a little while. So behind me is the area where the town of Wellington once stood. That building back there, that's a storage shack for fixing up the trail, I think. It's modern construction since the year 2000 when they put in this trail. So this town of Wellington had a school, a hotel, and all the buildings you'd expect at a railroad town for those days. Basically it ran from like the late 1800s until the year 1929 and then just went downhill to the town of Ty. And then even the town of Ty just kind of faded into history. So people used to live here, work here, go to school here, and now it's all gone. I wonder what happened to their descendants. Do they know the story of this town? Do they know the story of their forefathers that lived and worked here? I wonder. Anyway, nature's taken it over, done what nature does. The works of man, while we take pride in them, are only temporary. Nature seems as eternal. Probably the way it's supposed to be. Well, I made it to Wellington. I've had myself some lunch. Time to head back to the trailhead and maybe test out this pack by dropping it a few times and see how it stands up to that kind of abuse. All right, see you further along. So The mountain, of course, has got a lot of water on it, and these concrete barricades that the snow sheds were built up against, it kind of holds that water back, but not too successfully. As you can see here, it's overflowing and coming down the hill and then down the concrete, eventually wearing it away. When I came along here earlier in the year, check out Iron Goat Trail Part 1, Part 2. You can see a lot of water coming over in the springtime. Eventually, that water is going to work its way down through and break all this concrete apart. And there's going to be streams running down through little valleys where the concrete was. I kind of hope I get to see something like that. It would be almost gratifying, I suppose, to see nature reasserting itself like this. Some of these parts of the walls are already starting to crumble a little bit. The facade they put on them to make it smooth has crumbled away and fallen off. It's only a matter of time before this does as well. Well, I'm going to get further along the trail. I'll talk to you soon. Bye now. Well, getting to about the halfway point, I think. So I've had this pack on my back now for I don't know, 4 or 5 miles. I didn't really check the miles. How far is it? How far is it? I just keep going to the landmarks that I'm looking for and count from that. Hey, I got to this landmark. I'm doing good. You count the miles, kind of get, fixate on that. Not a good thing to do sometimes. But anyway, this backpack, I gotta say, is feeling pretty good. I did have a strap come loose. And I think that's really more of a manufacturing issue on my part than anything else, which makes sense because, I made it. So there's a couple of little tweaks I'm probably going to do with the backpack to take care of that, to prevent it from happening in the future. But yeah, the comfort of this is great. It weighs just under 2 pounds without a load. Now, granted, that's using my bathroom scale, so, take that with a grain of salt, right? Whoop, there's a tree there I gotta get around. There you go. But yeah, it's feeling really good on my back. It's not hitting anywhere on my back. I can feel just a little bit of pressure there on my outer shoulders, but that's it. It's just like it's touching it, nothing else. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let me pan this around so you can see the back. There you go. I'm just walking along this beautiful trail here, and it is beautiful. Look at that. Don't you just want to come out into the woods and go for a walk? Of course you do. You know you want to. You want to come out in the woods and go for a walk. Bring along some family and friends. It's a great thing to do. All right. Like I said, when I get to the end of the trailhead, I'll take the pack off and give it a little bit of a stress test, see how it holds up. Talk to you later. This is the outside of one of the tunnels. And basically the path isn't actually a wood path. It's the concrete foundation that the tunnel is built on. So basically you just go along this concrete foundation until you get to the trail on the other side of the tunnel. And this tunnel is huge. It was built in 1914. A ton of concrete here. It's amazing. All along here, you see these walls and these tunnels, and it's almost like one of those post-apocalyptic TV shows or movies where the remnants of civilization and people exploring them, things like that. It kind of feels like that. It's a little eerie. Well, I guess I'll get along here and talk to you a little further along the trail. Hi, so just going back to the trailhead along the Iron Goat Trail, the lower grade path. I got to this bridge, which I always like because it's such a nice bridge. And I just gotta say, if you're one of the folks that works as a volunteer maintaining trails like this, or you've worked on trails like this, and you've built things like this, and you've put together trails that I'm out walking on, thank you. You do an excellent job. You do wonderful work, and I appreciate everything you do. This bridge, the path, the timbers that you haul in here, the rocks that you move to put in place, little bridges over little gullies, all that kind of stuff, clearing out the brush every year, all that work that you do, thank you. It's appreciated. Now, I'm going to get back along and I'm going to enjoy this bridge that someone worked hard building, and they did a great job of it too. Thanks to you guys. All right, so this next test is the drop test. There we go. So for this, I'm going to back up a little bit more so you can see the ground there in front of me. Okay, good. All right. So first test will be onto the pack. From about here where I did the other one. So you ready? 3, 2, 1. All right. Now the stitching came out. Oh, what's that? You think we should do it again? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Let's see now. No stitching seems to have ripped. Seems to be holding up okay. All right. Onto the frame. You ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Now, seems to be holding up again. What? Again? You want me to drop it again? All right, just for you. All right, you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. No cracks, nothing coming loose. Stitching seems to be okay. Oh, my water bottle fell off. That's all right. Okay, from the side. 1, 2, 3. And let's do it again. On the other side the same. 1, 2, 3. Oh, nice drop. Well, I gotta say, this is holding up pretty good. As you can see, it didn't come loose and the stitching is held. Alright, so I guess I'm not that bad of a DIY kind of guy, and I seem to know my way around a sewing machine well enough. Oh, alright. Let's get this back on and get to the trailhead, shall we? Get the water bottle fitted back on here. So if you're a DIY kind of person like I am, you're always a little worried when you test your own gear, but you got to test it. I mean, manufacturers of material, of stuff you buy like at REI and other sporting places, they test their stuff. We got to do the same. It's just a little scary when you do. Anyway, going to get back onto the trail and head back to the trailhead. Talk to you in a little while. Well, here we are back at the trailhead. So, total of 12 miles today. 3 out to the Windy Point Lookout, and then another 3 to Wellington, and then it's a total of 6, so 6 back. And there was that switchback that I did as well. I took the Windy Point switchback down to the lower grade. Shouldn't have done that. That was a lot of extra walking. I could have just gone down to one of the other crossovers and done that. It would have been easier. But anyway, this was a really good hike, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I got to see the rest of this trail and stop by where those folks unfortunately passed away and pay my respects. we take for granted our transportation these days. When we drive over the pass, we don't get stuck in the snow for, a week, right? Unless we want to and we're going skiing. Back in those days, you got stuck in the snow and you basically had to walk out. And it's not like they were all really well equipped with good gear from REI or something. They had their wool jackets on and that was about it. I'm sure they had some other good clothing on them as well, but not like we do today, and they have to walk it out. So, got to appreciate how hard things were back then and how easy we got it these days. We go for walks like this for leisure and fun. Back in those days, that's how you got to work. Anyway, I think it's time I probably headed home, and thank you for joining me today. And if you have any questions or comments about the Iron Goat Trail or Wellington or the history in this area, I'd like to hear about them. And there's a subscribe button. It'll be either over here or over here, one of those two. Click on that and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And as always, for you who've got both legs and you that don't, I hope to see you out on the trail, out in the woods, enjoying yourself. See you out on the trail, guys. Bye now.